Okay, Mitchell, I'm looking at your How to Survive High School paragraph or short essay, the freshman edition. Okay, I do think you probably, whoops, I think you were looking for the word edition like E-D-I-T-I-O-N, but I'm not grading on spelling. Just a quick note before we start. But I like what you say, and I told you I wasn't worried about spelling, and I'm really not on this one. Okay. Things to do when you get to high school. Make friends with the teachers because having teachers that like you will help you get ahead in classes. I don't know what that is. What is that, Mitchell? Explain that to me sometime. Okay, moving on. The second thing I would suggest, do your homework and try to get it in on time. One day late won't destroy your chances in class most of the time. Next, high school attire. Don't dress like someone you're not, and don't get fancy clothes because most likely they're going to get messed up. It would also be in your best interest to get school supplies relatively early because do you really want to get behind in the beginning of your high school career? That would be a question mark there in there too. I like that. Another thing I would recommend, do not, and I absolutely mean do not, make upperclassmen mad. They will make high school hell for you. If you stick to these easy guidelines, you should find your way through it and remember you're freshmen. Okay, I like it. The first thing that I told you guys that I was going to look at on your grading of this essay was a sense of exigence. You recall that that is a sense of urgency, a sense of authority, that you have something important to say as a writer, and you communicate the fact that it's important that the reader take you seriously. So let's look at your urgency, your sense of exigence as you go along here. Things to do when you get to high school: make friends with the teachers because having teachers that like you will help you get ahead in class. Then you move on to a second example. You're going to hear me make this comment. I've made it a lot in most everybody's paper. You give an instruction, but you really need an example to go with your instruction, or else this is just generic. I don't know which teachers, I don't know which classes. It sounds like advice that from far away sounds fine, but not all that memorable. You put an example with that, and then all of a sudden you've increased your exigence, the urgency, and because you've made it a memorable example that I can kind of put into a place in my memory, and it becomes more important to me as the reader. That's what exigence does for you as a writer. And there's the bell. Okay, then it says the second thing I would suggest is do your homework and try to get it on time. One day late won't destroy your chances in classes most of the time. Careful, because I'm seeing a tendency to cram more than one sentence worth of instructions into one sentence, so watch out for little run-ons. They will weaken your writing, not strengthen it. Okay, losing your exigence, you might say. All right, do your homework and try to get it on time one day. Now here we go. Time for an example. That's good That's good advice. That's a good piece of instruction. But it's from a sense of a generic, kind of a vague point of view. Make it specific. By being specific, tell me what happened to you. One day I turned in my homework 2 days late, then I got a 0. Then turned in my average for the 6 weeks from a 78 to a 67. Tell me your example. All of a sudden I remember, and your instructions seem more important to me. That's really, really key to achieving exigence and good writing overall. All right, next, high school attire. Don't dress like someone you're not. Don't get fancy clothes because most likely they're going to get messed up. How about an example right there? Okay. It would also be in your best interest to get school supplies relatively early because do you really want to get behind at the beginning of your high school career? Now, I love that. I love that question. It has, I don't know, just it's good word choices and it's attention getting. It achieves exigence most definitely. Then you move on, but it's a question, so you need your question mark. Another thing I would recommend is do not, and I absolutely mean do not make upperclassmen mad. They will make high school hell for you. I love it. This right here, I absolutely mean do not. High exigence. You could give an example there, but the fact that you told the reader that it's going to make high school hell for you, that's attention getting, that's memorable. I'm in. If you stick to these easy guidelines, you should find your way through it and remember you're freshmen. I think overall, you had some moments that were high in exigence, but then I think you're missing specific examples that are going to help you. So in the scale of exigence, let me pull this guy back over here where I want him to go. You know, there we go. For exigence, I'm going to say that I'm going to give you about, oh no, it's really not quite a B. You have a little bit in there. I'm going to give you a 78 because I think with examples, it could have been a 95. I think you have a lot to say, Mitchell. So don't walk away from points that you make without fully explaining what you have to say about it, and that will help you with exigence. Okay, I need to also comment on using present participle phrases. Okay, and then Mitchell, the second thing that I graded this essay on is, in order to achieve sentence variety, I ask you guys to take at least 2 or 3 of your sentences in this essay and begin them with a present participle phrase. As you recall, that's using a verb that ends in ing as the beginning word of a sentence. What that does is it starts the sentence with an action rather than starting the sentence with a subject. It just kind of mixes things up, makes your writing have a kind of a different flow than just the same subject, verb, object sentence throughout. So let's look at your sentences. Things to do. The second thing I would suggest next, it would also be, oh come on, another thing. Okay, you have another thing. If you stick to these easy guidelines, I think you kind of just forgot. Hang on. Okay, so in total, you did not start any of your sentences with a present participle phrase. So because of that, your grade will, for now, for present participle phrase, be a 50. You don't have any. Now you can easily change that grade and bring it up to an A, or average it in with an A. What's my grading policy? Anyways, by reworking this so that you retype it and then you hand it back to me, and it has sentences beginning with present participle phrases. I'll give you some suggestions of where you can do that. You say, the second thing I would suggest do your homework and try to get it on time. Just start that sentence with the action. Doing your homework on time is the second thing I would suggest. Do you hear how you just flip it around? And that way your sentence starts with an action. It increases interest and takes the reader kind of in closer, quicker to what you have to say. Moving down, let's see, what else could you say here? Right here. It would also be in your best interest, blah, 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 blah. You could just start with the action. Buying school supplies relatively early can help because, or getting your school supplies. There you start with the ing action verb, a present participle phrase, an ongoing action that starts your sentence here, so that all of a sudden, now we've got more action happening earlier in the sentence. Again, that also helps to increase exigence. It helps the reader to clearly understand what you're steering them toward. You could also do that at the end. Sticking to these easy guidelines should help you find your way through it. That's another way you could do it. So until you turn in this corrected version of this paragraph to me, then these are the grades that will be recorded. But I also need to remind you that in order for me to record any grade at all, you have to give me notes about what it was that gave you the grade of exigence of 78, and short notes of what gave you the grade of 50 for sentence variety and present participle phrase. I want to end briefly by saying that remember that your goal is sentence variety, and sentence variety, in this assignment I suggested that you use the present participle phrase to begin sentences with. There's lots and lots of ways to achieve sentence variety, but that's one that I wanted you guys to do on this particular essay. So turn in those notes to me and I'll record the grade, then you can turn in corrections to me as well. Thank you.